carries the mental load and emotional labor of sex? Hello, I'm Sheila Ray Gregoire from BareMarriage.com, where we like to talk about healthy, evidence-based biblical advice for your sex life and your marriage. And I am joined today by my husband, Keith.
Hey, everybody.
And I want to answer that question.
Yep.
Because there is a lot of mental load and emotional labor when it comes to sex. And I think sometimes we put a lot of it on women.
Yep.
And not enough on men. And that has tremendous repercussions on how we see sex.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to work through all this today. Before we do that, a big thank you to a certain group of people. So if you enjoy our podcasts and you want to join our community, you want to get to know us better, please consider joining the patron group. It is wonderful. We have a great Facebook group with hundreds and hundreds of people. People post all the time. They talk about wrestling through with faith issues,
Yep.
all kinds of stuff. And it's where we go to get rejuvenated and to find our safe space as well. So you can join for as little as $5 a month. For $8 a month, you get access to Joanna's monthly book club. We're working through Pride and Prejudice, which I'm super excited about and having fun with. And of course, when you support our patron or when you give to the Good Fruit Faith Initiative of the Bosco Foundation, you help us get stuff done that we couldn't get done otherwise, like all the papers we've had published in 2026, the translation work we're doing, especially in Spanish. You'll hear more about that soon, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it just helps us expand our reach. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, hun. We've talked a lot about mental labor. Do you want to talk about what like mental load, mental labor means?
Yeah. So we talk a lot about, there's a lot of debates about housework all the time. And people think of it solely in terms of who does what.
Right.
So they think the debate is that he should do X proportion of the housework. But we often omit all the planning and the background stuff that goes into it. So for instance, I might say to you, hey, give me a grocery list and I'll go pick up the groceries. And so you give me this list and I go pick up the groceries and I feel like I'm a hero and I did all the work today.
Yeah, you did the grocery shopping.
Because I went and did the grocery shopping.
You did the grocery shopping.
But I didn't look through all the cupboards, figure out what we need, plan the meals for the week, and then use all that information to create a list.
Yeah.
All right. And so I guess and then I basically thought that I'm doing everything, but I'm really kind of doing the smallest and easiest part of the task. Because all that other stuff is what we call mental load. It's like having to keep track of it. Like, if you're the one who knows when it's so-and-so's birthday or keeping track of the family plan, like what we're doing at different times, all that kind of stuff. That's all mental load.
Yeah. The fact that Susie has allergies to, this particular thing. And so if she's invited to a birthday party, you've got to make sure there's none of that.
Yeah, the family knows that.
All, who has dental appointments, who's scared of the dentist. And so they have to bring their whoopee or whatever it is, right? Like,
So there's things that go behind the actual thing you're doing that often are overlooked.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
And often it disproportionately falls to women.
Yeah. So the planning part. Then there's also emotional labor, and we've touched on that. I think we've used the term a lot, but we haven't defined it quite as much. And so I think that this really fits in with this discussion today, because emotional labor is the work that is done to manage the relationships. Right. So it's noticing when the kids are fighting with each other and doing research on how to figure out how to get them to stop fighting and get along with each other. It's research on emotional regulation. It's understanding that, there's distance between us. And so I better read a marriage book. I better do something so that we can grow. It's realizing you're in a bad mood. And so no matter what I'm feeling, I am going to try to help you get out of that bad mood. So the emotional labor is just managing everybody's emotions around you and the relationships.
Yeah. It's like human connection requires maintenance work.
Right.
And that is something that not everyone does well.
Yes.
And a lot of people depend upon other people to do it for them. Like that's one of the things we talk about, the marriage you want. There's a lot of marriages where the husband's mother's birthday is remembered by the daughter-in-law rather than, the husband, right?
Yes.
By his wife, right?
Yes.
She remembers the birthdays of his family. She gets Christmas gifts for his family, that kind of stuff. And those are emotional connections with that family that are being maintained between the mother and son by the son's wife instead of by the son himself. And that's another example where sometimes emotional labor is being done by the person who's not in the relationship.
So, and we talked about this in The Marriage You Want quite a bit, and how this plays out. Like we actually have data for it. We have numbers for it. It looks like in about half of evangelical marriages that we measured healthier marriages than most. So in about half, pretty much this is shared. And then in the other half, she does pretty much all of it. So it's very rare for him to do almost all of it. It's either shared or she does it. And what I wanted to look at today is what this has to do with sex.
Right.
because I get so many reels and stuff sent to me on social media, like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And sometimes I see common patterns. And one of the themes that's kept coming up in people's messages to me in reels lately is that so much pressure is put on women to make sure that the sex life is happening, to make sure that it's romantic, to make sure that it's kinky enough, to make sure that like she is responsible for sex.
Hmm.
And yet he is the one quite often who wants more of it.
Yeah.
So he wants more of it, but she is the one who's responsible for making sure that all of it happens.
Yeah. So it's presented as a male need,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so therefore she needs to give it to him.
Yeah.
But then that's hollow.
Uh-huh.
That feels awful.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
So then we guilt women into making it better so the man doesn't feel hollow.
Right.
So she has to actually want it.
Right.
We don't tell the men, make her actually want it. We tell the women, get yourself in a mentality that you actually want it so he feels wanted, not just placated.
Yes.
And so not only do we make her the person who has to do all the work of sex, we make her do all the planning and emotional aspects of it
Right.
too.
Right.
For herself
Yeah.
and him.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I want to break this down. I want to walk through this because sex has actually a lot of different components. Okay. If it's going to be good. And so I want to break it down into just some of the basic practical stuff, some of our idealized notions of it, and then actually get into some of the emotional labor of it. But I want to start.
So when you say idealized notions of it, you're going to talk about some of the ways that we talk about sex that is not healthy.
Yes.
Like the whole transactional kind of sex. Because
Yes.
the whole thing is, if you think of this as something that is a mutual thing that we do together, this whole idea of who's doing what goes out the window because we're both working to make it good for the other person.
Exactly.
Right? So, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So first, I want to start by setting the stage by reading a quote from the book "His Needs, Her Needs,"
Okay.
which is one of
Perfect.
which is one of the best-selling marriage books in evangelicalism. I will put a link to our podcast and our download where we talked about the problems with the book. So we have, if your church recommends it, if your counselor recommends it, please give them the download. And we're not going to talk about this book a ton, but I do want to read this quote. Okay. So the author Willard Harley says, he, meaning the husband, makes this commitment, meaning marriage, because he trusts her to be as sexually interested in him as he is in her. He trusts her to be sexually available to him whenever he needs to make love and to meet all of his sexual needs, just as she trusts him to meet her emotional needs. So,
Oh my gosh.
again,
So men need sex, so she needs to give it to him. Women need to have emotional connection, so he needs to give that to her.
right.
And it's just like, men don't need emotional connection.
Yes.
Like, and then it's like, so when he does emotional connection for her, that's a benefit for both of them. But she's supposed to just like make it good for him about sex. And there's nothing to the man to tell him to make sex good for her.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So she needs to meet all of his needs, which means she needs
that
to
was funny too.
prioritize sex.
It was pretty like broad brush there, eh? Like all of his needs.
Whenever he wants it,
Like-
basically. Yes. This is the obligation sex message on steroids. And we've talked about how destructive the obligation sex message is, how it's heavily implicated in women's anorgasmia, so inability to reach orgasm, heavily implicated in the reason that evangelical women have twice the rate of sexual pain as the general population. Obligation sex doesn't work. There's so much better ways to talk about it.
Yeah.
But let's go into some of the different ways that women are told that they need to bear the burden for good sex. Okay. And at its most basic, let's talk about hygiene and appearance.
Right.
And the discrepancy here. Right. Because even just basic hygiene.
Yeah. So
right?
let me take a step back first.
Okay.
Because basically what we're talking about here is all these evangelical marriage books say, you need to do this more. Men want this. You need to give it to them.
Yes.
They never ask the question, why don't our women want sex?
Right.
because they're taught, the evangelical church has two messages about sex. People outside the church, they go, stop having sex all the time. But in the church, they're saying, you need to have sex more. Did they not think, what is it that we're doing that's making these people who we have to tell out here to stop?
Yeah.
What makes them have to kickstart them in here?
If the idea is all these horrible women outside the church want sex, and aren't they just all harlots? And yet in the church we have to get women to want sex, as if what's the matter?
So and I'm not saying that means that we need to give up our sexual ethic. I think the Christian sexual ethic is very healthy, not the way that it's preached in these books, but the Christian sexual ethic of faithfulness to one person and all that stuff is really good. But when you see that happening, why don't they say, honestly, why don't our women want sex?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's something as simple as he's got BO
Yeah.
and he never brushes his teeth.
Yeah.
Why do I want to have sex with that? Like, and we don't like we've heard sermons about telling women you need to make sure you don't gain too much weight.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look good for your man.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you heard a sermon saying you need to look good for your wife? You need to make yourself appealing to your wife.
Yeah.
Like that, I never hear that.
I know, and that's what I want. There's a huge discrepancy in this, because think about what a woman has to do to her body to make sex work.
To make a guy find her attractive.
Yeah.
Even though apparently, according to these books, he's going to want her no matter what.
Right.
So, but she still has to make herself look good.
So she has to shave,
Yeah.
right? She has to shave her legs. She has to shave under her armpits. And, a lot of people are going for the whole Brazilian wax thing. So she has to keep all her pubic hair gone, or maybe at least a lot of it. And that's a lot of work. You get ingrown hairs. It's seriously a lot of work.
The amount of time on just like makeup and stuff like that. Like it's a lot
Now,
of
she
work.
doesn't have to wear makeup to go. I don't know. Maybe some women have to wear makeup to have sex, but like you have to get your whole body.
But just to look attractive.
To look attractive. You're supposed to wear lingerie, a negligee, whereas men can come with like
saran wrap. That's the joke they say.
Yeah. Men can come with holy pajamas, like not holy HOLY, but like holes in your pajamas.
Old sweatpants.
Right, and that's okay. So even the getting physically ready for sex,
right,
a lot more falls on women than on men.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet, like you said, there is a significant problem with the fact that women tend to have better hygiene than men. And this has been well documented. Mm-hmm. Whenever I talk about this on social media about, do you have a problem telling your husband, hey, you've got bad breath, you need to brush your teeth, and the floodgates open. Like this is a big issue that people have is, my husband expects me to be available for sex all the time, but he never brushes his teeth. He doesn't floss. His teeth are rotting. He won't go to the dentist, and I just find it disgusting to be close to him. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and then we shame her for how can you say that about your husband?
Yeah.
But he doesn't even get a simple dude.
Yeah.
Clean it up. Like, and it'd be so easy for him to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, if we had a mentality of service to each other, like why wouldn't you want to make it better for your wife?
Yeah.
Like why not? Like unless you feel this is an entitlement.
Right.
And that's disgusting. Anyway,
right.
Whatever. Sorry.
Okay. So there's that.
Okay.
And then there's just your simple body appearance. Like you were saying about how there's so many sermons about not gaining weight. Yeah. But we don't. So I have one to play for you. Okay. Okay. So this is Stuart Alan Clark from Missouri. This one hit the national news when he gave this sermon. And here's just a clip. It's a news story. It's a news channel talking about it at the beginning, and then you'll hear clips from him. So we'll just let them go.
A Missouri pastor has taken a leave of absence and is now seeking professional counseling after his sermon went viral and was called out for being sexist. Pastor Stuart Alan Clark told women in his congregation that they need to look attractive for their husbands or else they'd stray because, quote, God made men to be drawn to beautiful women. But the 22-minute sermon did not stop there. Here's more of what he said.
Your man needs an attractive wife. Now, look, I'm not saying every woman can be the epic trophy wife of all time, like Melania Trump. I'm not saying that at all. Now, most women can't be trophy wives, but you know, like her, maybe a participation trophy. I don't know, but all I can say is not everybody looks like that. Amen. Not everybody looks like that. But you don't need to look like a butch either.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well, that was a take.
That was a take.
I mean, I don't like talking about people's body shape or anything like that because I don't think that's appropriate. But like the hypocrisy of this particular man. To talk about, anyway, it just really bothered me.
Yeah.
Really bothered me.
Yeah. And he goes on to say, like, he talks, this wasn't in the clip because it was like a 20-minute sermon and this is all he talked about for 20 minutes, right, basically. But that he knows someone who has a divorce weight where if his wife gains more than 60 pounds, he divorces her.
Yeah, these churches preach that a woman can't leave her husband, can't divorce her husband if he abuses her. But apparently a man can leave his wife if she gains an extra pound over that limit.
Yeah.
Like, disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, how is that biblical? How is that like Christ-like husband?
Yeah.
Like, gosh. Like, why don't people realize this? Why do people stick around churches like this? I don't get it.
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
absolutely. Okay,
Getting
here
revved
I
up.
want to read you another quote from the book His Needs, Her Needs that we
Okay.
opened with. All right, because he says that men have 5 basic needs and women have 5 basic needs.
Hmm.
And what's really interesting is that men's basic needs have nothing to do with connection, really.
Right.
It's like it's all superficial.
Mhm.
And women's needs are actually quite the things that he calls women's needs are things that will maintain intimacy and that are healthy for any relationship.
Yeah.
So one of the needs that he says men have is the need for an attractive spouse. Okay, that this is a God-given need for a man is to have an attractive spouse. And he says this, do most women have the same need for attractiveness in their husbands? No, they may want their husbands to look decent, but most women do not rank an attractive spouse among their top 5 emotional needs. Women often fall in love with men who are overweight, homely, or sloppy dressers because these men know how to meet their most important emotional needs, such as the needs of affection, conversation, and financial support. He goes on to talk about how one woman gained 100 pounds after having kids, and he compared the husband's life to that of a prison sentence.
Right.
And he says, just because you're married doesn't give you the right to look like a bag lady or gain weight. So he really comes down on women for gaining weight. Yep.
That's just horrific.
Yeah, now he did tone this down a little bit in future editions, but his older editions sold a lot better, and they're the ones that discipled a lot of our current pastors.
Yeah.
And so think about that. In the evangelical world, it was considered okay to talk about being married to a wife who had gained weight as a prison sentence, and to say that men had a need for their wives to not gain weight.
See, like this is the thing is that, the Bible says that husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
And they're big on quoting that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But how does Jesus look at us when we're not at our best?
Yeah.
When we're a little bit ugly?
Yeah.
Right. Like when we were still sinners, Christ died for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to be the kind of husband that looks at my wife, no matter what phase of your life you're in or what's going on. And I want to look at you with love. And if I start, if your appearance, if I start feeling like I'm losing that, then it's on me to rejuvenate that love because I'm seeking after you and I want to love you like Christ.
Yeah.
Right. Like so many people who preach this thing, they do it just so that women will submit to them.
Yeah.
Like they want to receive the adoration that Christ is due by the church, but they don't want to do the work of actually loving their wives like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was a bit of an aside there.
No, that's good. I like it. I like it.
So yeah, so I mean, like this is like she is changing, and so he stops loving her, and it's her fault.
Mm-hmm.
How is that loving as Christ loved the church? He is neglecting his biblical mandate as a husband, letting it get to that point. He needs to be stoking that relationship and connecting in other ways. And it shouldn't be about a physical appearance anyway. It should be the relationship and all the things you've been through and emotional connection and all that kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, just sad.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to move on to like the emotional aspects of sex in a minute, but there's a couple more physical things that I need to talk about. And first of all is the emotional labor and mental load of contraception, birth control.
Right. Yeah.
So let's just think about this for a minute. One of the most common emails I get is from women who say, I don't want to go on the pill, or I've been on the pill and it really does a number on me. I gained a lot of weight. I get really moody in a way that I wasn't before. Like the pill just isn't a good match for me. And I understand that there's when we say the pill, but there's not the pill. There's
it's different ways of hormonal contraception.
There's multiple.
There's patches, there's rings, there's injectables, there's and there's different kinds of pills. And
but even in the pills, it's like so
you mean hormonal contraception?
Hormonal contraception. Yeah. We say the pill, but we mean. Yeah. But their husbands don't want to use condoms. Yeah. Because then it doesn't feel as good.
Yeah. And there are like risks to taking any medication. Yeah. Right. The hormonal contraceptions for sure, but anything you take as a medication, there's risk, right? Yeah. So what you're saying as a husband then is, my need to have the maximal amount of sensation is more important than the physical medical risks to you for that method. Yeah. Like, and the thing you can say that and then say you love your wife as Christ loved the church. Yeah. I'm not saying that you can't, do that, but you should decide it together. Like it should be that we have both decided that, and if she's the one taking more of the risk than you, that you should value that more. Love your wife as your own body, right? Like it should be more important to you. Yeah. But talk about it together.
I think it's interesting too, because, women can only get pregnant a certain number of days a month, right? Like you ovulate in the middle of your cycle and the egg is only viable for like Like basically because sperm can live for a certain amount of time and eggs can live for a certain amount of time. There's sort of like 5 to 6 days from like 2 days before ovulation to about 3 to like, where you could get pregnant. You really can't get pregnant other than that. But
the problem is that window is not
right. That window's not
very
absolute,
easy to measure, right?
Because the problem is, of course, if you have sex before ovulation, that sperm can still impregnate you. So
you may think you're not in the window yet, but you are.
But you are, right? And so it is difficult to measure. But what we're saying is, even though a woman is only, can only get pregnant 5 or 6 days a month, she's going to spend her entire life on this hormonal birth control because he doesn't want to inconvenience himself. And the way that condoms have changed, like over the decades, you really like the sensation is good. Like you don't miss much, really, if at all. We had good friends who are our age, and he had cancer, and during his chemo treatment, they had to use condoms. And he couldn't believe how much they had changed since way back when they were first married. Like it's very, very different. And so it's like, if he's saying, like, let's say the difference is, now it's 95% instead of 100%. So I don't want to give of pleasure or whatever. So I don't want to give up that minuscule amount of pleasure. I would rather my wife put all this medication in her body and have these negative repercussions.
And I don't think most guys are doing that. I think most guys are just not thinking about their wife. Right? Because despite what the people who preach, the typical evangelical books preach that the husbands are supposed to sacrificially love their wives. But what happens basically is the husbands live a sense of entitlement. And their wives just take care of things and they don't even think about it. Oh, you'll just go on the pill. And she's like, okay. And she goes on the pill and they don't think about it. He doesn't think, I'm going to make her have a risk because I want to have pleasure. He just doesn't even think about her. And we need to train ourselves to think about it. For instance, we were talking about there a little bit about the timing, like the rhythm method. Right? So that is a way that some people choose to use for contraception. So they track ovulation very carefully and they try and calculate where the window is and they abstain from sexual relations during that window.
Or they use condoms during that window.
Or they use condoms during that window or whatever, right? So that's a way that a lot of couples do that. But again, there's a lot of emotional labor and mental load in that, keeping track of all these things, because there's like tests of mucus, there's body temperature, there's all these things you're measuring. And in a lot of these families where they're doing that, basically just the guy just asks every day and she says, today's a no day. And his only thing is to go, okay, well, it's a no day, so I'm not allowed to. And then when it's a yes day, great. But he's not involved in all the charting and the planning and the thinking. And he just assumes she's going to take care of all that. And it's like, if you want to be a Christ-like loving husband, and this is what you as a couple have decided is going to be your way, and it's a lot of work, do some of the work, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the way to show love to your wife. It's like, okay, I'm not trying to nag you, but like, can I help? Well, like, did you check today? What's the temperature? Can I write things down?
Or you be in charge. Do it together. You be in charge.
Doing it together so that it's a bonding moment. Like we're like, whatever. Like you understand each other and you're being intimate in the sense that we're talking about our bodily functions we don't talk about with anybody else. Right? That, so that's very intimate in that sense. And you can share that. Why wouldn't you share that? Why wouldn't that be a better way of doing things?
And I want to say too, I should have said this earlier, but if you love the pill, that's like, we're not trying to criticize the pill. The issue is if she doesn't want to use it, that should matter.
But do talk to your physician. Right. Because you need to know it's a very safe form of contraceptive, but for most people, but you need to talk to your doctor about your personal case because you may have risk factors for different things and such and such. So disclaimer, medical disclaimer.
He's a pediatrician for this.
Talk to your doctor.
Medical disclaimer. Yes.
I'm not trying to say it's not safe. It's very safe, but you have to be in the right circumstance, right?
And then the other time that we really see this showing up is in the permanent contraception. So, after you've done having kids, you're sure you're not having any more. Vasectomy is quite an easy.
Compared to having your what's called a tubal ligation or your tubes tied for women, like that's an abdominal surgery, with anesthesia or like there's a very involved procedure. Whereas snip snip is an office procedure. You walk in and then you limp out. And the number and we hear from so many women who say, my husband refuses to get a vasectomy. So this woman has to get a tubal ligation or go on the pill or get an IUD, which is painful to insert too. And, like all kinds of things because he's not willing to do that. But he wants her to get hurt.
But he desperately, and often these men are saying, I don't want any more kids. So he absolutely doesn't want any more kids, but he's putting it on her.
Again, and so this should be a no-brainer, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want the kids and you've decided as a couple you're not going to have any more kids,
Yeah.
and the easier person to get changed is you. I mean, first of all, you have to decide as a family if you want this. Some people this is not something they would ever do, right? Like maybe if your spouse has an objection to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then if they would object to it because they don't think it's the right thing to do, they should be telling their spouse to do it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because that's what we see. We see men saying, I'm not going to get a vasectomy, but I want my wife to go get a tubal ligation.
Yeah.
And I think that should be like a no-brainer that is not a loving way to talk to your spouse.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we see it all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, last one
Okay.
that has like the physical aspects of sex. It's
Okay.
just the physical location. Is who is responsible for that? Right?
I mean, the atmosphere.
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere,
Yes.
right,
So
yeah.
I asked about this in our patron group. Like, have you ever heard anyone tell women that they need to make the bedroom nice? And this one woman said, oh my gosh, I was at a women's conference and the speaker literally said, ladies, does your bedroom look like a place where your husband would go to have an affair?
Oh my God.
So you have to make your bedroom hotter.
Oh,
than
my
your
sisters in
husband.
Christ. I am so sorry that someone said that to you.
Yeah.
That is horrific.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Church, do better.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
I know. But think about this too. Like, just,
Sorry, I kind of.
yeah. No.
And again, this is in an environment where the assumption is
Mhm.
men want sex, women don't.
Yeah.
So if that's what you believe, why is the onus on making a nice environment on her to make it nice for him? He
Yeah.
already wants to,
Yeah.
right? If she doesn't want to, why aren't we telling husbands, hey, are you being romantic? Are you making the bedroom a place that's like, are you putting rose petals on the floor? Are you like playing nice music?
Or are you even making sure the laundry's not on the bed? Are you folding
Yeah,
the
bare
laundry?
minimum. Yeah.
Like, are you
Yeah.
folding the laundry so it's not on the bed? Are you? Yeah.
Like like if this is something that he wants and she doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
it should fall on him to make it something she wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's like time and time again in the evangelical spaces, it's always on her to do because
Yeah.
it's not about loving like Christ. It's about being entitled and
Yeah.
getting what you want.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't think they do that intentionally, but that is when you start with that assumption,
Yeah.
that's always where it
Yeah.
leads.
So the assumption that I read at the beginning of the podcast that, that Willard Harley said in His Needs, Her Needs, that
Mhm.
she must supply all of his sexual needs. And wow. Here's another example though, about the physical. So let's say that she needs to be in bed be asleep. Let's say she needs to be asleep by 10:30 if she's going to get 8 hours of sleep.
Mhm. Okay.
Right? Okay, that means if you're going to have sex, you really want to be like in bed snuggling by like 10 at the latest, like at the
Yeah.
latest, right? If you're going to have like, which means you really should be
I think we can
back it up a little bit.
I think we guys could do it better than that.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like at the latest, like you can't push it too much later than that, right? So I'm talking minimum here,
Yeah.
and which means you really got to be getting changed, maybe having your shower,
Yeah.
getting your teeth brushed, whatever you do before
Yeah.
bed by like 9:40,
Yeah.
right? So it's now her responsibility to make sure he's coming to bed, because what often happens is she'll go get ready for bed, she'll get in bed, and then he'll come up at like
At
10:30
10:29
and say, okay, let's. And it's like he hasn't thought about how much sleep does my wife need,
Yeah.
right? And that's a huge thing too.
Yeah.
It's like if you're playing video games in the basement and then you're complaining that your wife doesn't give you sex, like,
Mhm.
are you actually in the place where sex is likely to happen at the right time? Like, who is bearing the mental load
Yeah.
for that?
And again, if we teach, as the evangelical books teach, that it's the wife's job to make the husband meet this husband's need,
Yeah,
he doesn't think about it. He just thinks, yeah, I need it now,
yeah.
so give it to me, because that's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, sex is really automatic for me, and I could start and very
Right.
quickly, and I don't need a lot of lead up, and I don't need half an hour to get ready,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but then maybe I should take that
Mhm.
and use that time to help you kind of catch up. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like that would be a loving way of looking at it,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to the entitled mindset of, well, it doesn't take that long for me. I'm responsible for getting myself ready. She's responsible for getting herself ready, and it's her duty to do it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a horrible mentality.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why do our books teach that? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Okay. in that vein,
Yeah.
I also want to talk about the difference in libido. So we've talked about different ways of categorizing libido. Like we often talk about high libido and low libido, and I don't find that particularly healthy or a helpful way to do it. You can talk about responsive versus spontaneous. I think that can be more helpful. Where a spontaneous libido is you just have a felt need for sex, sort of, it just happens to you automatically. It's quite frequent. It happens to you automatically. Whereas responsive is you don't necessarily feel the felt need, but when conditions are right, when you're feeling emotionally connected, your desire for sex kicks in and you end up enjoying sex just as much as if you had a spontaneous libido. And we find that men are more likely to have spontaneous, women are more likely to have responsive, but there's a lot of crossover. And what we find a lot is that men with a more spontaneous libido will often feel like, you know what, I don't want to burden my wife with my sex drive. I want to be really good to my wife. And so I will just leave it up to her to initiate.
Yeah.
I am not going to initiate because I don't want to pressure her, but I'll just tell her, look, if you ever want sex, I'm here. And that sounds really good. Right? That sounds really sweet and selfless. But what you end up doing is you tell the responsive partner, you need to get yourself independently all ready for sex and then come and approach me. You're not giving her anything to respond to. And so what the responsive partner really needs is for the spontaneous partner to engage in the kind of thing that will help her or him get excited without expecting it.
Yeah.
Like you need to be able to kiss your wife, to dance with your wife, to give her a massage, showing her that it doesn't need to lead to sex.
Yeah.
Because then you get rid of the obligation, which is what he was trying to do in the first place.
Yeah.
But you also give her something to respond to. And because I think that's a huge mental load that's put on women is now I am a more responsive libido, but okay, it's getting to be 9:45. I've got to be asleep at 10:30. Okay, I've got to get myself in the mood. And so, and then I'll go get him from the basement.
Yeah. And a lot of guys sort of don't want to start down the pathway, being romantic, kissing, and all that kind of stuff, because they're afraid that you're going to start and then something's going to happen and it's not going to be a good night for her. And she says, no, I don't want to. And then they're going to feel frustrated.
Right.
And they worry about that. So then it's easier just to go, well, when you're ready, you come to me. But just because it's easy doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Right.
Yeah.
Like if you can't get excited a little bit and then your wife says, you know what, I'm not in the right space tonight. If you can't handle that, you need to take it as a personal challenge to learn how to handle that.
Yeah.
Like that's part of being a mature person who's in control of your body and your emotions and all that sort of stuff, right? And I'm not saying it's easy. And for some guys, it's really hard because they've never even thought that that was the case. Because like there are people who say like your wife is your lawful sexual outlet.
Yes.
Like that's the way that people talk about it in the church sometimes. And so they're steeped in that mentality. It's like, my outlet, just shut up. So what do I do now? I explode, right? Like it's like, no, you need like, it may be harder for you because you were never taught this. But that's part of being emotionally mature. Like we thought things were going great and then the baby cries. Well, not tonight, I guess. And that's part of dealing with that is part of being a mature man is dealing with that. Not saying that means your wife has all the power. Yeah. Which is what we talked about in other podcasts.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Oh, that's coming up.
Okay.
So you should be putting out those romantic things. And sometimes it helps if you, for a time, you could agree, we are going to let ourselves do everything but intercourse. Right? Because then that's not going to happen. Yeah. But you still just kiss and hug and cuddle and do all kinds of stuff, right? And it's like, as a man, you can learn, you know what? There's value and beauty and closeness and intimacy in all of that. And it's such a richer experience. You know, you're not thinking of it as a, get to the goal line. You're thinking of it as an experience between the two of you, and it just makes everything better. So, don't think of it in terms of that. So it shouldn't be a big onerous thing to say to higher drive spouses, give your lower drive, your responsive libido spouse something to respond to, but also respect and acknowledge if that responsive spouse doesn't actually want to, they're allowed to say no. Yeah. Right. And
ironically, when you do that, well, maybe it's not even ironic, but like when you do that, her sexuality tends to blossom and then her libido tends to blossom. Yeah. So it's like when you create a healthy relationship, like that's a healthy relationship dynamic, you're going to also create healthy desire for sex, which is what we want in the first place, right? Okay. Another definition that I want us to focus on is, what does intimacy actually involve?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intimacy means I am showing up with everything that I am, and you are showing up with everything that you are. And we're able to accept that and enter into it. And that's what fuels the passion, right? It's like, I truly see you and I want to unite with you. So, and the problem that I see in a lot of our sex advice, and this is what we're going to get to now, is that our sex advice actually tells women especially not to show up with everything they are, because a lot of what they are is a problem. And so you're not actually supposed to show, like, your issues are problems. So put all of that aside. And the only thing that actually matters is your vagina.
Oh, yeah.
Or your mouth, as we're about to hear.
Yeah.
So you're not actually supposed to show up with everything you are. The things that you have that are stopping us from having sex are problems, and they need to get put by the wayside.
The fact that you don't feel close right now, the fact that you don't, that you don't feel safe, the fact that he doesn't brush his teeth.
Yeah.
Those are your issues to deal with.
Right.
Because he needs access.
Right. So let me give, and I've read these quotes a lot
on
the podcast, but I think that they really speak to this. So the first thing that a woman has to turn off is her own body's needs. Okay. And we're not going to talk about the orgasm gap because we've talked about that so much, but obviously a big reason that women don't want sex is because they're not experiencing pleasure from it.
They're getting Chef Boyardee, not known as ravioli.
We have so many podcasts on that. I actually have a starter pack of podcasts of 10 different podcasts on how to make sex feel good. I'll put a link in the comments because I don't want to go there today because we've gone there so many times. But another way that we have to turn off our own body's needs is things like our periods and illness. So I want to read these two quotes from the book Sheet Music by Kevin Lehman. All right. So he says, there are times for whatever reason that a wife may choose to make use of what younger men affectionately refer to as hand jobs. A woman with heavy periods that last 6 or 7 days, or who has just gone through a pregnancy. In other words, she just delivered a human being out of her body, right?
Exactly.
Or perhaps is simply not feeling her best, may genuinely feel like sex is more than she can handle. But with a minimum of effort, she can help her husband who feels like he's about ready to climb the walls because it's been so long.
Yeah.
So he's blatantly saying it here, right? Yeah. She's supposed to put in the effort.
Yeah.
So the mental load, emotional labor is all on her, even when she's sick.
Yeah.
So this is a woman who is sick or who is having super heavy periods, which means she's likely cramping. She isn't feeling well at all, or she's just pushed out a baby, which means she's exhausted. She might have postpartum depression. She's got milk leaking all over the place, but the priority needs to be to make sure that her husband ejaculates.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
It's just a sideline. Because we talked about in one of the podcasts recently about how the Denny Burke criticism of the Great Sex Rescue, right? Because I think it was a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah,
Rebecca talked about that. The biggest take, the funniest take is, so the Great Sex Rescue was reviewed, and Denny Burke said, you spent too much time talking about pleasure, and not enough time talking about conception and having babies, which is the real point of sex.
Right.
And here's Kevin Lehman talking about making sure that he gets to ejaculate during times when you cannot have a baby.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when conception is off the table. Like, it's not about conception. It's about men getting what they want and women just towing the line.
Yes.
It's always about that.
Yep.
And they couch it in Christ-like language, but it's not about being like Christ. Because a Christ-like husband would not say to his wife who just pushed a baby out, I'm climbing the walls, you better give me something. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on, guys. We can do better than that.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, here's another quote. And again, we've done this one a lot. We talk about this one a lot in the Great Sex Rescue. But here we go. The most difficult time for this man was during his wife's period. Yeah. That is like the worst sentence that's ever been written in the history of time. Yeah. So like I dare you to go up to a woman and say, it's really difficult for me when you have a period. Like, my God.
Do not say that.
Okay.
Do not say that.
Because she was unavailable to him sexually. Yeah. After about 10 years, she finally realized that pleasing her husband with oral sex or a simple hand job did wonders to help her husband through that difficult time. Yeah. She realized that faithfulness is a two-person job.
Yeah, that's another horrific line.
So who is now bearing the mental load and emotional labor of making sure her husband doesn't watch porn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So she now has to give him sexual favors so that he doesn't watch porn. So the mental load and emotional labor of keeping him faithful is now on her.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So again, she's bearing the emotional labor and mental load of
Yep.
sex.
Yep. And no call to the men for restraint,
Mm-hmm.
chastity,
Yeah.
All the things that are all through the New Testament. I mean, in the Old Testament, not that we live by the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, there was purity laws where you weren't allowed to touch your wife during
Yeah.
the period,
Mm-hmm.
or like for a certain, like it was like a month after she had a baby, right? Like
Yeah.
you weren't allowed to even touch her,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that, and that was expected that they would just do that. That was what God's command was, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not saying that we should go back to the Old Testament at all, but I'm saying like if that was what God expected in the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the living Spirit of God in us as men, can we not like give our wives a break for a period, like a few days over a period? Like,
Yeah.
dude, like why are you listening to these people and not seeing this is the opposite
Yeah.
of what Christ would be like?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, I want to read a bit of an awkward excerpt now. Okay.
the other stuff is not
Yeah.
okay.
No. This is
All right.
So
Wow.
so we're talking about women not being able to show up with everything they are.
Right.
Right, and bearing the mental load. And I want to talk about a passage from the book Married Sex by Gary Thomas and Deborah Filita. And this is in a chapter that Gary wrote.
Okay.
And he's answering the question from a woman on why is it that my husband really, really wants hand jobs? Like, why does he even like that? Why wouldn't he just go masturbate when I'm postpartum?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking specifically to women who are postpartum or having their periods. And that's laid out at the beginning of this passage. All right?
And whose husbands are asking for sexual favors.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And he's trying to explain to this woman why husbands like hand jobs better than masturbating.
Themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's what he says. Here's the difference between a husband masturbating to take away sexual tension, something we don't recommend, and his wife taking the initiative. So again, the wife is the one who is bearing the mental load. We're already setting it up this way. The wife is the one who's bearing the responsibility here. It may seem to be the same thing, but it's not even close. Wives, this is what your husband is experiencing. And he lists like, I don't know how many that is. Is that like 12? There's a bunch of
Several
different
buttons,
things that men just love about their wives giving them hand jobs. All right. 3 of these things, though, actually relate to her excitement.
Yeah.
So he talks about the sound of your moans, the wetness between your legs, your breathing, your excitement as his excitement builds. That's actually 4 things. So these things all paint the picture of a woman who is aroused.
Yeah.
Again, we are talking about a woman not wanting to do it when she's postpartum. And he's saying, what does the husband like about it? The fact that you're moaning, that you have wetness between your thighs. If she has wetness between her thighs and it's postpartum,
That's kind of creepy.
it's not like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what you think it is. But so it seems to me what we're talking about here is a man who it feels like whenever I have a sexual feeling, I'm lusting, right? Which isn't true, but whatever. And so I have to get rid of that sexual feeling. The only way to get rid of it is to ejaculate. I'm not allowed to masturbate. And so I have to use my wife, but she's in a position where she doesn't actually want to do this.
Yeah.
But I need her. Like I desperately need her to.
Yeah, well, because like you skipped over it, but in these places, masturbating is like that's a sin. You can't do that.
Right.
So I'm gonna make my wife masturbate me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But at some point in your psyche, you've got to go. That's got to be worse, right? Like
Right.
that's got to be worse, right? Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
And
worse?
so how
So
do
this
you
is your way
get-
of justifying.
how-
No, she wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that you get around that is, oh no, she's aroused by doing this. And okay, look, some women actually are aroused by doing this. And when I've asked on social media, not a scientific study, we didn't do this in our scientific ones, but the polls I've taken on social media show that about 40% of women do get aroused postpartum during their period, doing that kind of thing. The other 60% absolutely hate doing it, like hate it. You know, like it's pretty stark, right?
Yeah.
And so here he is. And I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to get over this guilt that he's feeling by convincing himself, oh no, she wants to. And that's what so many books say is that she has to make sure that he feels good about this when whatever you're doing. So Shanti Feldon says, you know, make sure your words are heart words, that you're affirming him, adoring him, even when you're not feeling good during sex. His Needs, Her Needs teaches very explicitly how women are supposed to have orgasms. But the reason is not for her own pleasure. The reason is that he won't feel good unless she orgasms. All right. If you want to learn to orgasm, we have a much better way. We have an orgasm course. So check, I'll put a link in the podcast notes. All right. But over and over again, this is what we're told is like, it's her responsibility to make sure that he feels like he's doing a good job.
Yes.
And so she has to manage his emotions during sex.
Yeah. As opposed to him like learning to do a better job.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Yeah. Okay. And again, there's so little talk of how men need to make sure their wives are feeling pleasure. And there's so much talk about making sure that she's having enough sex. So I want to give you some examples of that, because another way that women are supposed to bear mental load is that they're supposed to get freaky.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not just enough that she gives you duty sex when you want it. Like she gives you oblation sex. Like you feel guilty, so she has to want it too.
Yeah.
To assuage your guilt.
Yeah.
But then it's also like, if you have something that's a fantasy that's a little bit weird, she has to make sure you don't feel guilty about that too by doing whatever you want her to do.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who teach specifically she should be trying to outdo your husband.
Right.
You should be trying to outdo your husband
so
in terms of things.
let's listen to that. The first clip, this is from a sermon at Paula White's church. Paula White is the spiritual advisor to Donald Trump. Right before Easter this year, she prophesied over Donald Trump that he was just like Jesus and that he had been falsely accused, but was still going to do, anyway, it's quite the thing. So this is at Paula White's church, and this is her husband, Jonathan Cain, giving this advice in a sermon. Okay, let's listen.
I think too, women have to, or don't have to, but women should look at a man and find out what turns him on. I mean, and you can talk about this. This is something that, how freaky do you want to get? You know what I mean? And if you don't have that conversation with your man, if you don't have that conversation, then, you're not fulfilling everything that he really truly wants. And the other part of it is, ladies, if you don't know what he likes, figure it out. Get a book. Go get some porn. Do something. Whatever. If he likes to watch porn with him. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to get where you're going to go. Figure it out.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. So watch porn with him?
Yeah.
Like that's the recommendation, right? Yeah.
And study him.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Figure out what he wants, because he's not going to be fulfilled unless you do something freaky, right? Like unless you get really into this. So the emphasis, again, when it comes to sex advice, the emphasis is not make sure sex is good for her. Remember we have a 47-point orgasm gap. Remember that 18% of women say they feel used after sex. Remember that 23% of women suffer from sexual pain disorders, and 35% if you include postpartum. Like, it's not about that. It's just, hey, unless you're a porn star, he's not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let's listen to another guy.
Okay.
This is Scott Anderson. He is one of the lead pastors at Living Word Church in Mesa, Arizona. Okay, ready?
Wives out there, rock his world. Rock it. I'm telling you, rock his world. This is at least once a week, something crazy in the bedroom. Something crazy, right? And I don't even know why you're still watching this. You should be planning out today. You should be dressed up, get some saran wrap on. I don't know what you're going to do. Something that if his mom ever found out, like it would destroy her. Do something crazy, because I'm going to tell you what is very important to a man. And that passion in the bedroom is so important. I'm not saying every time. I'm saying once a week. Once a week, make it a goal that, you know what, I'm going to surprise him. I'm going to do so. I'm going to fulfill. I'm going to make it incredible. And when you are making that important to you, you'll find that he begins to make the things that are important to you important to him. That when you say, hey, I get it. This is a very important need of a man. And I'm not just going to be average. I'm not going to be okay, right? I'm not going to wait for you to want, right? Instead, I'm going to be the one that's been crock-potting it, been thinking about it, been putting it, and I'm going to be the one that surprises him. And you'll see a change happens in him when he knows that you've made this important. You can change, really, so much of your home and your family by rocking his world.
Yeah. This is exactly what I was talking about. I've heard this kind of stuff, like challenging women. And I don't think it's because they want sex to be good for the women. It's they just want the men to not feel guilty.
Yeah.
And they want men to get things without even having to ask.
Right.
Because men feel guilty asking.
Yeah.
So they're trying to challenge women to go over the top.
Yeah.
Not for their benefit, but for their husband.
I have a question.
I find that weird.
I have a question. And I don't mean to make this personal.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a theoretical question.
Theoretical question. But what could we possibly do in bed that would destroy your mother?
Yeah, I know, that was
like,
weird.
that is a weird thing. Your mom's a really fun person. Like, she's not hung up on anything at all. Like, all I can think of is some weird illegal fetish. Like,
well,
is that
too,
what...
it's, yeah.
Is he trying to, basically by saying that, something that would destroy your mom, he is implying weird fetishes. Like,
yeah.
I can't think of anything else that he would be saying there.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think he's joking. I don't think he's saying you should do things that are sinful.
Yep.
But like, why joke like that? Like,
Yeah.
why do you have to go that way?
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's taking sex and instead of making it leaning into the intimacy and the unity and the beauty and the mutuality, it's leaning into all the worldly aspects of sex and saying that's the best way to do sex as a Christian.
Yeah.
It's horrific. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. And again, okay, so he tells women, you need to plan this, you need to crock pot it, he uses a lot of words about how she needs to spend a lot of her mental energy figuring out how to make sex super hot for him once a week. And there is no advice on how he can make sure that she actually reaches orgasm, or even like she is supposed to plan so that it is over the top for him, when most women, and we talked about this in The Marriage You Want, aren't even getting the bare minimum of enjoyment out of sex. Right? So she has to make sure that he gets this when she's not even getting this.
Meanwhile, the reality is that sex is very automatic for men, and it takes more work for women. So in a relationship where you want both people to be good, who should be the one doing the studying and the working to become better at this? Yeah. Right? It's the man. And the only sex advice I've ever heard for men in the church is vacuum once in a while and unload the dishwasher. Yeah. Like, that is it. That is the extent. Yeah. It's abominable. Yeah. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And we have a husband's part of the orgasm course. Yes. So if you are a husband and you want to do some of the mental load and figure out how to make sex great for your wives, we do have a husband's part of the orgasm course too. So I will put a link to that in the podcast notes. Okay. Moving on.
Okay.
What if part of the emotional labor of sex for women is getting rid of their emotions entirely? And I want to give you a scenario and see how this could unfold in 3 different ways to show you what I think is happening. Okay?
Okay, sure.
So let's imagine that you haven't had sex in 4 days, all right? And your wife has just had a really, really, really emotionally stressful day. Maybe she's had it out with the kids, maybe she's had a tiff with her mom, maybe at work she had conflict with a coworker, but she just feels lousy, right? Okay, so scenario 1 is that, and this is what most evangelical sex advice would tell you to do, right? Is that she knows she feels lousy, but she also knows she hasn't had sex in 4 days. And so she has to work really, really, really hard to put her emotions to the side so that she can get in a mental frame of mind where she can at least go through the motions. Yeah. Okay. The best case scenario of that is that maybe she has an orgasm anyway and she sleeps better, perhaps, but do they feel connected?
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Because she was not in the emotional space to just jump into bed and have sex. Right? Like she was really struggling, but she knew that no matter what I am going through, our sex life has to look a certain way. So our sex life is not about connecting.
No.
Right? Because if it were about connecting, what I am feeling would actually be part of our sex life.
Yeah.
But what I am feeling is a hindrance to our sex life because our sex life is not connecting. It's only about making sure that he has an orgasm.
Yeah.
And so all of these emotions she has get put on the back burner.
Yeah.
So that's scenario 1.
Yeah. Not a very nice scenario.
Here's scenario 2. He recognizes that she's upset. Okay. He recognizes she's had a bad day. And he's like, you know what would really help you? An orgasm. Let's jump into bed and have sex. Right? Okay. So he's acknowledging her emotions.
Right.
And he's saying sex is the answer. Okay. So let's jump in bed. And, to a certain extent, that could be true to a certain extent.
I think it'd be better to ask it as a question.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Hey, you know what? You've had a rough day. Let's make you feel good. That kind of thing, right? That's the kind of mentality you're talking about.
Right. Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because not a guy who's going to bulldoze through because
he's saying, hey, you've had a rough day. Come on, let's go. This will make you feel better.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha.
Here's scenario 3. He recognizes she's had a bad day. And he's like, you know what? What do you need from me?
Yeah.
Like, can I give you a massage? Can just lay it all out on me. Let me listen. Let me hold you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is so that she feels heard and seen.
Yeah.
And when she feels heard and seen, often sex can flow from that. Yeah. And then that sex does let you feel connected. Because the reason that her libido got going, the reason that she had a desire for sex was because I feel like he saw me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he saw what was really happening. And so now sex is an expression of who we are.
Yeah.
Sex is really about bringing everything to the table.
Yeah.
Right? But what we're told instead is your
Mm-hmm.
emotions, whatever you're going through, you have to put all of that aside to make sure that no matter what you're going through, the sex life looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're postpartum, on your period, sick, having trouble with your sister or the kids, or you're exhausted, or you're hitting menopause, like sex has to always be to the same schedule, and it has to be super hot for him.
Yeah.
And that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with connection.
No.
You know?
No.
Like I had this question. I was speaking in Manitoba last month, and one of the questions in the Q&A was, sometimes even if I'm enjoying myself, it's just not possible for me to climax. Is that okay to not climax every time? And the more I thought about this answer, the more I think what's going on is like this scenario one, where she's having sex, and there could be many, many, many things going on. Okay. But I think in scenario one, that shows up a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm having sex because I have to have sex, but I have all of this stuff in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because why is it that she can't reach climax every time when she can reach it quite easily sometimes? And it could be hormonal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a lot easier to reach climax at
There-
ovulation.
There's so many different scenarios that could be going on. Some healthy,
Right.
some neutral,
Yeah.
and some really, really unhealthy. And you don't know the background, right?
Yeah, but I think that what's happened is that a lot of times women especially don't let ourselves deal with the emotions that we have
Mm.
because we feel like we have to have sex anyway. And so we're not actually fully showing up in the bedroom.
Mm.
We're hiding a large part of ourselves, but that part of ourselves is still there and you can't get rid of it. And so it's actually quite difficult to respond sexually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So even if it feels good, you just can't get over that hump. You can't get there because you're still thinking about that fight you had with your sister or
Yeah.
whatever it was, right? And I just wonder how much these kinds of questions would go away if instead of seeing my emotions and not just your emotions, but just the exhaustion you feel, the huge list of things you have to get done, instead of seeing those as impediments to sex,
Mm.
we invited our spouse into them with us
Yeah.
so that we could connect, and then sex could grow out of that.
Yeah.
And then they're not weighing as heavily on you.
Yeah. I find it so ironic that in the church often we use the word intimacy
Mm-hmm.
to mean sexual intercourse.
Yes.
Like people are afraid to say sex, so they
Mhm.
say intimacy,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they preach a version of sex which is completely devoid of intimacy.
Yeah.
Like intimacy interferes with sex because it
Yes.
is really just release.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And that's so
Yeah.
sad because it's
Mhm.
like, if I'm interested and I'm like kind of feeling that way and I get home from work feeling that way and you've had a horrible day and you've had all kinds of stress with your sister and whatever, like it's like, if
And
we're-
I don't have a sister, by the way, but anyway, yeah.
sorry, you
Yeah.
theoretical. Instead of
Yes.
it's theoretical.
Yeah.
So, but but if I get home and I'm in that kind of headspace,
Mhm.
I'm thinking like, oh great, I'm gonna really romance her tonight. And then this is what happens. If we're one,
Mm-hmm.
like that should have an impact on me.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't just be, well, how am I gonna deal with this now?
Mhm.
Like you can't have that feeling because I have this feeling. Like
Right.
it should be like, oh, what? And then, because like I want to be intimate with you. I don't
Mhm.
just want to use you for release.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, well, I want to know these things, right? Like what's going on? And then tell me about it. And then as we learn, like if you have sexuality that's integrated, like it's your
Mhm.
whole person,
Mhm.
like being closer to a person emotionally and psychologically makes sex better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All this talk about how be freaky, it's because just like we preach that the world doesn't understand the beauty of sex and it's just an act for them.
Mhm.
But like these people are doing the exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
about the physical act.
Yeah.
It's not about intimacy,
No.
right? Because if we're truly intimate, then it's like, I'm not going to say to you, you need to have sex. I'm going to say, oh, tell me about it. And we're going to talk
Mhm.
and we're going to be intimate, sharing, discussing, getting into things. And then it's gonna happen. You're gonna go, you know what I need? And you're just
Yeah.
and it's gonna happen because we just know we're safe with each other and
Mhm.
things go where they go.
Yeah.
You
We're
know?
probably getting a little too personal here, but yes.
No, I'm not talking
absolutely.
about you and me. I'm talking about theoretical people. We said that at the beginning.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. As opposed to the whole sex is a need. I have not had need met in 6 days, must have need met.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of mentality of sex.
Mhm.
Like why don't we see that for the really anemic view that it is?
Yeah. And again, we're not saying that sex doesn't matter in a marriage or anything like that. But what we are saying is that when sex is integrated, when it
Yeah.
is part of that, sex actually happens more often,
Mhm.
and the women tend
Yeah.
to be happier. Like, like when women say, I can share all my problems with my spouse and my spouse hears me. When they say I can mourn with my spouse,
Yeah.
like when they rate all of those things really high, their sexual desire also tends to be a lot higher.
Yeah.
Like when we don't try to get rid of our emotions so that we can show up in the bedroom, but when we instead bring our emotions with us and our spouse enters into them, that makes our sex life come
Mhm.
alive.
Yeah.
And yet that's not what we're taught to do. And
No.
it really bothers me.
Well, in a sense, women are taught that.
Mhm.
Like I asked the question, why don't we do this? And it's like, I know the reason men don't do that. Because
Yeah.
that's not taught.
Yeah.
Men are taught you are animals who
Yeah.
need sex.
Mhm.
And women are these integrated psychological creatures.
Yes.
And you don't have those needs, right?
Mhm.
You just have physical needs. That's abominable. I don't know why in the church we are not railing against that.
Yeah.
Like men are fully human, right?
Mhm.
We are fully emotional. We're fully, and the issue is that, embracing that emotional and psychological side is good for us as men.
Yeah.
The only thing that prevents us is this idea that those things are feminine
Mhm.
and as if that's a bad thing.
And the
it's like
definition
we
of
shouldn't-
masculine is to be not female.
Yeah.
And so,
And it's
yeah.
like crazy. And I've said this before, we will never be healthy until we stop defining being a man as not a woman,
Mhm.
but as not a boy.
Yeah.
Like a man is mature. A man is in control of himself. A man is in control of he knows what's going on. He's integrated. He's
Mhm.
not just reacting like
Mhm.
you're having a period and it's really hard for me.
Yeah. Well,
kind of
speaking
thing.
of that, okay, I have one last
Okay.
quote that I want to read. This is from Gary Thomas's book, A Lifelong Love. And again, we've talked about this before, but sometimes all these things circle back because they have different meanings too. And he's writing about dynamics in marriage and how they change based on who was most invested in the marriage.
Mm.
And he talks about how often in the dating period, the husband's more invested, but then when a baby comes, suddenly the wife isn't as invested in the marriage because now she's got this baby, right? And here's what he says.
Okay, yeah. Except that the marriage includes the baby now,
Yeah,
but whatever.
But here's what he says. Meanwhile, the
Family.
husband eventually realizes he has lost his wife. She speaks tenderly to the baby in a way that she hasn't spoken to him in months, if not years. The baby cries and the husband ceases to exist. They could be in the middle of making love, but that doesn't matter. The baby comes first. The power has shifted back to the wife. And the wife can do a lot of harm to her marriage if, ruled by these strong maternal feelings, she succumbs to the trap of becoming a mom first and a wife second. That line about if the baby cries when they're making love,
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
everything, like, yeah, your baby's crying, dude. Why would you want to keep making love if your baby is crying?
Yeah.
Like, this is the ultimate in completely divorcing emotion and a huge part of your life from your sex life. Like, as soon as you become a parent, that child
Yeah.
is your life.
Yeah.
Like, and not because they've made your life smaller, because they've made your life so much bigger, and the love that you both feel for that child
Mhm.
should be like the fact that he's just painting. This is just unreal.
Yeah.
But we have a new grandchild and she's adorable, and seeing, her dad carry her around and her mom carry, like, it's lovely,
Mhm.
right? They're a new family unit. They're now 4 people. They started off as 2. Now they're 4. Like,
Mhm.
that's lovely. and our oldest is now, how old is she? 31.
Yeah.
31. I still think of her. She's still one of the last things I think about when I go to bed at night.
Mhm.
My youngest is still one of the last people I pray for when I fall asleep at night. And I often fall asleep praying for my grandchildren and my children. And like, because they're a part of me.
Yeah.
And that didn't make my relationship with you worse.
No.
It made my relationship with you stronger.
Yeah. And this is jealousy of your own child.
Yeah.
I mean, again, boy behavior, not man behavior.
And so
in my
women
mind.
women are taught that you need to take the maternal feelings that you have even when the baby is crying and put that on the back burner so that your husband doesn't feel bad.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to telling men
Yeah.
to be mature and grow up and realize it's not about you.
Right.
Right? Which is
Okay.
what they say they believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's we could do better. I know men could do better.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think for women, a lot of the emotional labor of sex is actually getting rid of your emotions.
Mhm.
It's taking all the things that you care about,
Yeah.
all the things that are weighing you down, and making them not matter so that
Mhm.
your husband's orgasm matters most. And
And-
that's crazy. That is not connection. That
Yeah.
is not intimacy.
Yeah. And so some guys out here, I think, are learning this for the first time.
Hmm.
Right? And so my challenge to you is don't get defensive,
Hmm.
but lean into it. Oh my gosh, have I done that?
Yeah.
Well, I believe in you. You can do better.
Yeah.
I've learned. I shudder when I think back at the beginning of our marriage. We are getting personal here now, but I shudder when I think back at the beginning of our marriage how selfish I was. That's the way I was trained to be by the teachings in these books.
Mhm.
And I shudder at that thought. And that's why we do this. We want to teach men
Yeah.
how to be better, to be the kind of man you want to be. Because I think most Christian men out there want to be amazing husbands and fathers.
Yes.
And I think that the problem is that what they're getting fed is stuff to make them feel good at the expense of other people, as opposed to calling them to rise up and be
Mhm.
strong.
Yeah. And
Right?
and if you know couples who are just starting out, a great gift to give them is our books, The Good Girl's Guide to Great Sex and The Good Guy's Guide to Great Sex, because we really wrote them for little Sheila and little Keith. This is what we should have heard instead of all the crappy books that we
Yeah,
were given.
yeah.
So it's a great way to begin. Okay, I want to actually end on a clip, which is the most Christian thing that we will hear this entire podcast,
Yeah.
spoken by a man whose platform is not primarily Christian. I don't actually know what his faith belief is. Do you know what his faith
Well,
belief
he's
is?
talked about Jesus before,
Has he?
but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know where he's from. It sounds like his mother was very religious, though.
Okay, yeah, I don't know, but this is Trevor Noah. I want you to listen to what he's saying about sex.
Interesting how the framing always talks about men and sex alone. No, but it never talks about two things. One, very seldom in society do we talk about how the expectation of sex was often set by a society controlled by men, and women were just subject to it, you know? And as that has changed, you would hope that now the dynamics would change. But it also makes it seem so one-dimensional. They go like, women, men aren't having the sex that they want to have or wish to have. And I go like, how much sex do they think they're supposed to have? Let's start there. Secondly, like, do they think they're entitled to the sex? And third, and most importantly for me, and I really feel like we don't speak about this enough, is people don't realize how often men are experiencing a lack of intimacy. And the only place that they can experience that intimacy is through sex. We've created a society where men are so afraid to be vulnerable with each other, to be, sensitive with each other, to care for each other, to love each other. Even saying that as a guy, you always have to change and be like, you can't just say, I love you. You have to be like, I love you, dog. You know what I mean? You got to throw it, like, you can't just say it. And it's interesting because that is where I do feel women have done a much better job of being there intimately for each other. Not sexually, but intimately. And I think we take for granted how much in society men who say sex is the thing they're not getting are actually struggling with a lack of companionship, of intimacy, of being in a space with a person where they're sharing, everything from serotonin to endorphins to what humans need to feel.
Wouldn't it be just so lovely if pastors could talk more like that?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we want, right? Is we've taken sex and we use sex in place of intimacy because we can't talk about what it is that we really need.
Yeah. And a lot of guys don't even realize, because you've been taught to suppress your emotions so much, you don't even realize you have them.
Yeah.
Right? You're snapping at everybody because you haven't processed your feelings of inadequacy at work.
Yeah.
the reason you haven't processed your feelings of inadequacy at work is you don't realize you have them.
Yeah. Yeah. You just know you feel bad. And what will make you feel better? An orgasm.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, that is the coward's way.
Yeah.
Like, unpack that stuff. Like, do some introspection. Get in touch with your emotions, your intellect, your psyche, like all those things.
Yeah.
And let your wife be who she is. And then, be together. And then it's truly intimate.
Yeah.
It's not just an act. It's truly intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, that's what sex should be. We both get to show up with everything that we are, and then sex flows out of that connection, and sex enhances that connection. That's what it should be. But when we put all of the mental load and emotional labor on one person for sex, and we make the emotional labor basically being getting rid of her emotions so that he can have an orgasm, we're not creating healthy marriages.
Yeah. So
So
don't do that anymore.
Let's not do that. Share mental load,
Yep.
share the emotional labor. And the emotional labor is not getting rid of your emotions. It's learning how to show up with them and help each other feel heard and seen. Yeah. So
Sounds
there
good.
you go. There you go. I'm going to put a link to everything we mentioned in the podcast notes. Check out our starter pack on how to make sex feel good, because we didn't talk about that much, because we talked about it so much before. Yeah. And take a look at the Great Sex Rescue if you want to get a new way of seeing how sex should really work, because that can help a lot as well. So I'll put a link to all of our books. We've mentioned a bunch of them today. But once again, thank you for joining us on the Bare Marriage Podcast. We're always glad you're here. Bye-bye.
Bye.